What's up, guys? Vince here, and I'm currently just in the mood to talk about more of Final Fantasy VII Remake, just because I had some things on crossing my mind of how interesting the game was to me as a kid. And it wasn't just characters, it wasn't just gameplay, the world, all that is a given because of really just venturing off into the game and what you can do. It's an open world feel of it, and the summons and all that. But we're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is how the original Final Fantasy VII was able to tell its story through its music and its sound effects. Now, what I really mean by that is that there were points in certain situations of, like, in the very beginning, seeing the stars, and it sort of sounds like you're in a spaceship, but you're roaming around looking at the stars, and it courses into a violin, and then we hear the main theme of Final Fantasy VII, basically the start of the bombing run um music of the song. And the same thing goes with, like, sound effects of, you don't hear certain you don't hear music yet, but you just hear sound effects of, like, a truck driving, and you see, like, Cloud in the back of a truck, and they're having a discussion of amongst the other people around him, but all you hear is just sounds of a truck going, and just tumbling on rocks and things like that. You're hearing sounds of an engine, basically. But that's it's a certain way of attaching you to the mood of the scene. And amongst with the rest of the music back then, it's like every certain every certain scene had a specific way of telling the story with its music. Even though you're going like, "Oh, I heard this song back in back at this section of the game, this very beginning, and now we're hearing it again in, like, the middle of the game, or in a totally different town, but it fits the mood." Um, and one of those songs, like, I'm really looking forward to. I would say, amongst all the music, I would say I am looking forward to Red 13's theme, which is also played at Cosmo Canyon, and there's a reason for that. Uh, and of course, you have the fighting music, which we did get a glimpse of on Twitter, and I think somebody made, like extended videos for it, but hearing, like, the actual battle thing being orchestrated, and it's intense, and it's long. Technically sounds like it's going to be a longer song than it really is proclaimed to be. And then you have I want to say the mockery actor. I believe um Max said, and amongst everybody else that may have tried the demo back at E3, was that when they hear the Mako Reactor theme, it's it's intense. Like, it's actually scary. Then when we normally hear it by originally, which it's back, of course, techno-y, and maybe keyboards, and just messing with sounds, but you created a song to do, and they created the mood of it. And then for the remake, it how they explained it sounds like it's gonna be terrifying. Like, oh my gosh, Shinra's headquarters in the Mach reactors. This sounds like it sounds like an evil place, and that's actually really cool. That's actually really, really, really interesting to see that we're gonna get more feels, even though back then it was intense, but even come March, it's gonna be very intense, and I'm very excited about it. So I am actually going to go through some of the music that I really like in Final Fantasy VII Remake, or Final Fantasy VII, not remake, but the original. that I've picked out that are honestly like my favorite. Like the entire soundtrack is amazing, but the type of songs that stick to me that says this is Final Fantasy, I basically love. And it makes me go back to hearing the song. Like I'll just like put a like there could be a conversation going and I could just let that go and I could just, listen to the song. I don't care if it's on repeat or anything or it's on a constant loop because of the game. It's fun to hear. And that actually is Red 13's theme. And so we're going to hear a little so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up some of the songs that I actually enjoy that makes me greatly intense to getting ready for what that certain theme is going to sound like in the remake. So here is actually Red 13's theme. This is what it sounds like. This is Red 13's theme when you first meet him, and then it plays again at Cosmo Canyon because that's his home. So here is I think it's okay. Here we go. Right away, it's very tribal and it's very native sounding, and I really, really, really like it. Just the beats of the drums, just that 1 2 3 with the and it's and the how the music portrays it for Red 13, why it fits him so much. You as you hear him when you see him speak to the group or even at Advent Children, you hear his voice like only once, and it's sort of sucks. But I mean, you get a feel of what his voice is. But with him having more dialogue in the game, and really looking forward to hearing his voice in the remake, you can kind of guess that he's very he's a calm sounding he's a calm sounding dog or cat, whatever. Um, And even though I think you figure out that in doggy in the animal years he's supposed to be like 60 years old, or he's 80 years old, but in reality of speaking for human years he's actually like 16 or something like that. So he's technically a kid, but he sounds like a grown adult because he is an animal. He's grown. Hear him talk like saying like, "Oh yeah, like I'm not gonna try to impersonate, but a good example would have to be what he sounded like in Advent Children, close to it, but more uh rusty sounding. Even though the best of how I can say that he sounds like is just there are still children with the stigma, and you it's a horrible example, but you only heard that ever once when he spoke. But I can honestly say that he will sound like man, a little deeper in the voice, a little deeper, and more of sort of emotionless, but he's aware of this situation going around. um a kind of person that has honestly a lot in his mind but keeps to himself sort of deal. He's gonna be a it feels like he's a quiet character and speaks only when he wants to speak. And I think that theme actually fits for him. And it plays in Cosmo Canyon because that's his home, and it fits, of course. So that's Red 13's, and I think it's one of the coolest, the coolest themes. Excuse me, the coolest themes for a character in the group. Um, yeah, it's just It's a tune of a sweet animal that you really wish that you had in real life. The fiery tail. And he beats you up with a hairpin. And then there's one where I've constantly used for the previous videos that I posted up, talking about discussions on Don Canario and the Honeybee Inn, and just talking Final Fantasy in general. But I would use, because I love it so much, because they're awesome characters that you would never got tired of seeing in the original game. Whenever they were around, you were super excited, and that was the Turks. And the Turks were Reno, Rude, um, Elena, and Song, or it's either Sang or Song. But in Advent Children, I think they said Sung. But play it by ear. Play it by ear. We'll see what the remake has to say. Because again, like we only read words, but with the tune of the music, and with the way of the words, how they speak, even though Rude sort of didn't really speak, but it was a certain tone and what fitted him perfectly. So for Reno, I hope it's still I kind of hope it's still Quentin Flynn that he voiced it Axel in the Kingdom Hearts. I got that memorized. And then he voiced it of Raiden from the Metal Gear series, and also Reno for the movie, for the Advent Children movie. I don't know. I don't remember if there was any voicing in the other Final Fantasy VII spinoffs. I know Dirge of Cerberus did. I can't remember if Crisis Core, because that did feature them. I want to say I want to say he honestly played Reno all the time, because his voice fitted Reno in the attitude. And Rude was just a calm sort of like, would say a one line, see if it worked, and if it was a good line, then Reno said like, hey, that was a good line, Rude, and he just goes, yeah. If anything else, it's flashy. But the music that fitted from all was right here, and it was just the Turks, and it's one of my favorite themes that it definitely speaks when you meet them. It starts off like when you're gonna hear the tune, if it starts off just like that in the remake, it's in a way of like, of somebody just going like, I think somebody's following us. And if they turn around and you just see shadows from the far distance, and there's two, it would obviously be like Reno and Rude at first, or it would be Song and Reno, or Song and Rude, and then you would just it would sort of be cinematic as it starts. They just come around like the like open doors, and they come around the corners, and then the camera like zooms up to their feet, and it shows them up to their faces, and you're like, oh, it's the Turks. And then you would hear this. And I want to say it's a guitar, but just that part right there is what makes the song, like, and it makes you fall in love with the Turks because of how they speak to each other, the attitude, and it just psychs you up every time you see them. Whenever you want to see the Turks, you want that tune to play. Yeah, it's the best part of the song. And you would hear this, and I would say you could hear this type of song. You can honestly hear this type of song for A good example would be like just of course, conversating between each other, between the group and them, and then maybe some smack talk over there. You know, who's the better smack talk? Is it Cloud versus Reno, or is it Reno versus Barrett, or anybody else like that? And at the same time, if they wanted to, they can maybe, but they probably won't. But actually, I won't. Actually, I won't touch up on that subject because we still got to get the first game to come over here. Like a lot of things back in the original game, you could get to no problem, but because of how huge this game's going to be, the it's hard to talk about what's going to happen on outside of Midgar. Like we know what's going to happen outside of Midgar, but it's like what else can change? What can really change? It's a constant. It's a constant. It's a constant change, and it's just so good. It's honestly that's the reason why I love the Turks. Is every time I see him, I'm waiting for that tune to play, and I hope that the scenes with the Turks are longer than they are in the actual original game. There's longer conversations between the two. There's more trash talking back and forth. Um, and I hope there's actually more fights with the Turks than specific scenes. I think you only fight the Turks 4 times. I think a total of 4 times. Even in some areas where you're going like, why the hell are they here? And you just fight them anyway. It would always be Reno and Rude. Actually, if I think now that I think back, you can fight them a total of 4 times, and I think a fifth one is optional. And I would say I think this one. I mean, it's called Rotting or Underneath the Rotting Pizza, and I think this tune plays in the sewer, if I can remember. Just right when it starts, you know you're in for a ride. And certain either it's played either you are traveling. I believe it plays also in the it plays in the Mako reactor after Nibelheim, but it does play somewhere else. Um, I think it plays like it honestly plays multiple times because it's a very satisfying a satisfying tune. It's the type that you are committed to a mission and you sort of are sneaking in somewhere and you're trying not to be spotted, and it's like a total group, like you could sort of cinematically see it to where like Cloud could be like hiding behind a wall and he's like about to look at like if the coast is clear, and you just hear that tune and you're just like something like that. It's something like that. Um, but it fits the mood in this perspective, and it honestly, like all this music told the story of um of Final Fantasy, and it worked. It was honestly fun. It was super. It was you felt excited every time like a certain song would play, and it would put you in the mood. But there is one. Um, I would say the obvious ones. I mean, I do like. I mean, there's one obvious one that I will pull up later on to really talk about that really fits everything of Final Fantasy and not just certain things. It just fits Final Fantasy in general. But things like like the Genova um the Genova theme where you're fighting all like the parts of the body like that plays. I feel like that's gonna be intense and scary sounding because you're fighting a monster. You're fighting a monster that just deforms itself and it just grows into things. And I talked about Genova, the Genova bosses, and the sort of you got the pictures of them, what they looked like in the original game, but because of how some of the some of the bosses in certain scenes where they now look gross, but they stood to what they originally look like. And a good example is Apps. Apps was a boss in the sewers after rescuing Tifa. After you cross dress with Cloud, and you go into the sewers, and you fought Apps there. Now that we see him in the trailer, in the trailer when they're in the sewers, and he's that big blue, and he's punching Cloud. You're seeing Aerith fight him. You're seeing Tifa fight them, and he still looked the same with some minor different details in him, but he still looked great. And you look at him thinking like, oh man, Haps, you look disgusting. Ugh. But yeah, like even with just fighting Apps, you got the regular boss theme, and it was you all know it. It was this. You heard that, and you were ready to battle. You were ready to battle this boss because you're in the mood. You're all strong. You leveled up. You got your summons. You got everybody's properly with their materia, and everything was just, you're ready to go. Limit breaks are all the way up to limit break 4. I'm gonna omni slash this mother humper. Just you got that from this theme, and it was just amazing. But when you have against Genova and all them, you hear this. And this type of way how it's done seems it's going to be intense but terrifying. Because you're moving, how the battle system is going to be, and how Genova and them are going to look, how they're going to look like with how beautiful the game is. These things are going to be intense, hard to fight, but terrifying to look at. But yeah, that's Genova right there. And I think if I remember, yeah, the song plays as well as fighting anything that has to do with Genova. You hear that theme, except for one battle. Yeah, that's Genova. Fighting Genova's with that tune, and it's intense. It's gonna be something. Amongst all the songs that I do like that really speak out, I believe everybody will agree, is when Sephiroth finds out what he truly is. And this tune, I think, will be looked at for a while to set the mood straight, because this situation doesn't happen until after Midgar. So we probably won't be able to have this unless we get the sort of same tune with flashbacks of Cloud. Maybe being used in the scene where we see in the trailer of Cloud surrounded by fire, and he sees Sephiroth. You know, that scene that we saw in the trailer. But when he does reveal himself, I kind of want the Chosen from the Planet song to be played. And originally, you did not hear this song until they spoke about Sephiroth, and until he found out about who he really, where he came from, what he really is. And it didn't play on it didn't the song did not play until he said, "I'm going to see my mother." And you heard the tune, and you were like freaked out. Like you hear it now, and it's a cool tune. It's like, oh, here you go. Here it goes plot. There's plots. This is plot music now. I wonder if in the remake this is going to be even intense more. Like, this is what you heard. That alone, that part, I remember, yeah, being very young and playing it with playing the game with my sisters and my dad. That technically like scared us. It scared us because it was just you hear this beat of the drum, and it's just doom doom, and that was the loud part. That was the loud part on like your television and everything, and it freaked you out because it sort of uses a tune, and it uses a certain tune, and it tones it to where it's uncomfortable to the ear, but it sets the mood of like something bad's gonna happen. Something bad is gonna happen. And I think in the remake, if they nail it, if they nail that song alone to heaten things up with Sephiroth finding out the truth, and then Cloud seeing everything, just the Nibelheim scene alone, and they use this song constantly throughout the scene. It'll be sort of frightening, but it'll hit some feels. It'll hit some feels there. It still hits today, even for those that haven't experienced the original Final Fantasy VII. It it changes. Oh my gosh, like Final Fantasy VII with its music just changed the way you felt about the game. Like, you were in it. You were in the game. You were Cloud. You were roaming around. Your friends are with you, playing the game as well, or like watching the game, and they chose who to be because they liked him. Like, you played as the controller. You played as Cloud. It's like, oh, your girlfriend was Tifa or Yuffie or Aerith. And if you chose Aerith, I'm very sorry. Um, or your best buddy was Barrett, and then your other friend chose to be Vincent, chose to be Red 13 or Sid. You guys chose your group of friends would choose who to be throughout the entire game, either alive or dead, or a good guy or a villain. It was just fun that way because you were in the game. You felt like you were a part of the story, and the music did that to you. Music totally did that to you. But I would say, out of all of them, the original theme is good. The original theme is good for what I'm going to pull up, but how they did it in Advent Children, and I kind of hope they don't change it, but if they do, of course, how are you going to make it better? And that is the main theme, which is also Cloud's theme. And it doesn't start playing until you left Midgar. You were out in the open world, got you escaped Midgar, you're out in the open world and you're roaming around, and then it just played. It just started playing, and it's the theme spoke to you. It had it had joy, it had it had a strike of fear in it. When you first played it, it was like it was just a song, but when it was really like this is Cloud's song, it was all it was everything of his feels. It was all his feelings in one song. So it fitted him mostly. And this is what it was. It's a sort of tune that is it sounds like it's something that Cloud's it's how Cloud would speak, where he's like, I am on a mission. That's how it starts, and it cuts to that sort of weird touch to where it's right here. And that sort of tune makes it sound like Cloud is questioning himself because he's messed up in the head. Cloud's messed up in the head. Um and it sounds intense, like what is it gonna what's it honestly gonna sound like in the remake that speaks to the Cloud, speaks to Cloud, and it builds up even more, and it builds up even more, and it's exciting. And it's nice. Everything goes as plainly. But one part that I do like, I'm gonna try to find it. It's right here. It's a sort of it's a sort of way of it's like the word that I'm looking for, it's not redemption, it's sort of like the part that I am about to pull up. It's kind of like saying like everybody's happy that Cloud just found himself. He finally woke up. He is him again, and he look at him rise, and he's happy again, and he's happy, and he's holding up his sword. You kind of get that feel in this sort of tune when you hear it. Like after Tifa like helped him out, you hear this. Like how is that not? How does that not bring you to tears? How does it not put butterflies in your stomach? How do you not get goosebumps? How do you not get the feels? I just got goosebumps right now. Ooh. And like you can't help but you can't help but do this. Watch this. Or something like that. And then you get to the situation where you kind of hear um it's sort of a mix of, I want to say, Aerith's theme, in it. I want to say it's a mix of Aerith's theme with this. Then it's sort of like shows their connection to each other, even though we all know it's Tifa and Cloud. It's Tifa and Cloud. But it's sort of right here. It's sort of here, but this sort of the tune that they use, it's just hype. You're hyped for Cloud, and you're hyped for the group for like a final battle or something like that. Getting ready to go on the airship, or it's a victory. It's a victory tune at the end of it. And the victory tune, whenever you, like, I don't know, defeat a certain someone, or you just totally I don't know, you just listen. How are you not satisfied? How are you, like, if you don't got feels, if there's no emotions coming at you, if there's no tears, you are a cold ass bitch. Nah. It's just really good. It's just very, very cool. And this type of theme, the original theme, you felt the same way. And oh yeah, and there is a specific scene. There is a specific scene where it does play, and you are cheering. Actually, you cheer for it, and I can't wait to experience it again with JT. I can't wait. Can't wait. Hopefully soon. But this song does play when that certain scene happens. Even though this is the other theme that I really like, but you love it again. It's just so good. It's just so good. It's so good. And then it's calm again. It's calm again. And it's that sort of tune where everybody's like, or Cloud sees everybody, and they're all standing and posing. They're just like, yeah, or something like that. And cuts to credits or something like that. You cut it to credits, and it's fun. But one cool thing that one cool thing that Square did is we got a chance to hear a good example of what the soundtrack is going to be for the remake, and it was the battle theme. You could hear it in the trailer, and some of the and even at E3, and some of the when they were showing off the game, you could hear a little bit of it. But here, but this is what it sounds like now. This puts me in the great mood. The fights are going to be longer. The fights are going to be more intense. Fighting the Mecha Scorpion thing, that's gonna be fun. And hearing the still the same tune going. Bam! Just bam, you know. You get that, and it gets you pumped. It gets you excited to it gets you excited for that bomb run. The bomb mission in the very beginning of the game, and this is one of the first songs you're gonna hear to set the mood. Good job, Square. Good job, the orchestra that worked on it. Big bonuses, big Christmas bonuses, guys. Just saying. But yeah, that's those are honestly like my favorite out of all of Final Fantasy 7's soundtrack. It's those are all one of my those are all like my top tiers of Final Fantasy 7 songs. Um and they set the mood for the events that happen. And for the battles, like I think no matter what song you played, you it set the mood and it set everybody's when they would talk to each other, they would um they're sort of the conversations that happen, you can honestly just tell by the music that plays when they do talk to each other that they're speaking a certain tone to each other. Either it's at calm and they just have a chit chat, or if it's an intense talk, or if there's no music and they still chat amongst each other, or they're chatting with the villain, and it's a suspenseful moment just because there is no music. You're just focused on like, there he is, we're gonna get him, sort of feel, and it was amazing. So whatever comes up with the soundtrack in March, ah, my God. But it may feel like a long way, but it's gonna come over here fast. But honestly, just hearing the remakes of the Final Fantasy VII remake battle theme gives us a perfect example, like I said, to get ready for the rest of the soundtrack. What they worked on, and even if we're just gonna get like maybe like 14 songs maybe heard in Midgar, or maybe even more since it will be bigger. It'll be something. It'll definitely be something. We're gonna be jumping out of our seats, just like how everybody was at E3, just hopping and screaming. A lot of people's microphones are probably gonna go broken after this game comes out. Hopefully not mine. Hopefully not mine. But yeah, that's what I leave it with you guys. I'm pretty sure that I'm probably gonna shed some tears, maybe, or I'm looking forward to blowing out my microphone. But that's the video for today. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below, and what music you're actually interested in hearing, what certain type of song you're looking forward to in this remake, or a scene that gets you, that you wonder what's going to change it as well. or if this entire game is just going to change us. We're going to experience a new way of entering into Final Fantasy VII. Even if we played the original game, we're going to experience it a whole new different version of it, and I am excited for it. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching the video. My name is Vince, and I'll see you guys next time.